This is Pixel Papas, two sleep-deprived gamer dads hosting a podcast about mobile games marketing and AI, tackling UA challenges and diaper changes. Welcome and enjoy the show.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we have a fantastic guest joining us as somebody who plays a key role in driving success of the most popular mobile games out there. She's the senior manager of growth at Kwalee. It's a global gaming powerhouse with over 1 billion downloads across their hit mobile game titles. So we are excited to have you here and have a conversation with Aysen Kıratlı. I hope I didn't butcher it.
Almost there.
Hello, Aysen. How are you?
Welcome.
Doing well. What about you? Thanks a lot for having me here.
Yeah, we all good. Like, we're happy to have you here finally after meeting in Barcelona. It's great that we actually got the time to discuss. You have a lot of know-how. We actually opened a lot of topics when we met in real life. So let's continue these topics. But before jumping right into the topics, let's start with something easier. Are you a gamer? And if you are, what are you playing?
Okay, so I am a gamer, but I'm not a PC console gamer. I'm a mobile gamer.
Okay.
I am playing Travel Town for the last 1 year. I think it's been over than 1 year now. It's just an amazing game. I have minimum 3 sessions a day for sure. And also, I think it was 2 weeks ago that I finally downloaded Township.
Mm-hmm.
It is really great. Like I think I started to cheat on like Travel Town, like I started to play more Township in these days. But yeah, I think those two probably the most that I play.
Cool. You're actually the second person in a row in our podcast that's saying that it's playing mobile games, because we are always talking about what are you playing, Martin, what are you playing, Milan, talking about console, PC games mostly. Of course, we are playing mobile, but it's not like our primary device we enjoy playing games on. So it's good, great. And also the famous titles you mentioned here.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's kind of like, even though we are in mobile, like I met a lot of people, of course, and like even though like everyone is in mobile gaming industry, they mostly play like PC console games. And whenever like we talk about, oh, what is your like favorite game? I'm always like, okay, I don't know these, like I don't play those. But can we please talk about mobile games?
Yeah, sometimes I also have the feeling that when I'm talking with the people from the industry, when we get to the mobile gaming, everybody's like, yeah, I have to play this game because I have to run marketing for it or something. Everybody's like, not everybody, but many people are pushed. So it's refreshing to have somebody who's actually naturally playing the games, because honestly, there are good games, right? It's just like being a PC console gamer, I guess, for my personal experience, is just because I grew up to be that. Like, it's because I always played PC games, so therefore I still play PC games. If I never played anything and I went into the mobile gaming industry, I'm pretty sure I'll be playing mobile games.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, like, okay, you mentioned a couple of times. Is it like it's Township, for example, your favorite game of all time, or do you have favorite game of all time?
All time. Yeah. It's a strong one. All time. Then I need to think about my childhood as well. And I need to say Super Mario.
Oh.
Like my favorite of all time, for sure. And I think maybe, to be honest, you are right. Because I kind of stopped after Atari, like I was playing Super Mario with like when I had an Atari, and then when we don't have it anymore, like when it was outdated, and when we moved to like PC, I didn't like playing games. So probably that's why like it was easier for me to start playing again when I have a smartphone.
Yeah, you had like this huge gap in the gaming, like coming from Atari to then like, oh, suddenly now you can play anything in your pocket.
Yeah, because in PC, like I was only playing, some web games. Like I remember there was this dressing game that I loved playing, and then there was this being a waitress game. I think it was also really famous. But other than that, no, I didn't like much. I mean, I played Sims. I played, what was it? Pac-Man also, like at some point, of course, I played. But like I never, wanted to, oh, okay, I want to go home and play games,
Nice.
Yeah, and old games and old consoles, they have this magic, right? It's all nostalgia. It's where everything began, and that's why I have this Super Nintendo on the table right next to me. It's also playable. Also, I'm playing some old. I have N64 behind me. I have this old TV setup here with PlayStation 1 and everything. So I'm
Nice.
also playing like PS5, but this is like special because it's, it's the history, and I'm enjoying really mainly because of it. Because, the gaming was born there, and it's had like special feeling playing these old games.
Yeah. Did you like finish Super Mario, by the way?
Yeah, I did, but it was like I had infinite saves, so it was easier.
Okay.
But and when I was a kid, it was like 4 levels, and then I died. And did you
Yes,
finish
I,
it
I
like the
never
whole?
finished it.
I
I
think
never finished it.
only once. Yeah, I saved the princess. Only once though.
Nice.
So difficult.
You are a
So
real gamer
difficult.
then.
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
I really enjoyed. Really.
Did it actually, like all this gaming experience, because you have a game history and gaming experience, did it bring you to Kwalee, or how did you start and end up in Kwalee?
I mean, yeah, so I didn't actually start in gaming. So I started my career in media planning and buying agencies first, like as a digital marketer. And then I moved to e-commerce. I worked in a shopping app in Turkey. And in there I started to, learn the app business. But I had a lot of colleagues from Peak actually. Like it is like when you think about Turkey or Istanbul in gaming, like Peak is one of the gaming companies that comes to mind. And then I think like while talking with them, I started to, think like, okay, this is also something that I can do. So like why I don't just pursue this opportunity. And during the pandemic, I think in most of the countries it happened, but in Turkey, there was a huge boom in like there were a lot of new companies, a lot of startups were opening. Gaming was just going crazy, and I thought, okay, this is the time. I need to move now, and I started working in like a gaming startup, and then I moved to another. I think worked like almost 2 years, right, like in gaming industry before I moved to Kwalee, and then I landed Kwalee as a UA lead 2.5 years ago, maybe even more than that.
Nice journey. So yeah, and you went immediately to like UA lead role in Kwalee.
Yeah. Because I mean, in my like previous job, I was kind of leading the creative team, so it was really fun. But that's why I directly like started as a UA lead.
Nice. So you went there in video experience, and now you actually gradually. By the way, congrats on the promotion just recently.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So you have a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of experience, right, and know-how and stuff, like working for such a big publisher. So how do you decide if a game has potential before publishing? Like,
It's
what's
so
the
hard.
process?
I mean, it was so easy back then, like you were just like doing some CPI test, and if you have like low CPIs, you were just, okay, let's go. But it is not like that anymore, because we don't have hyper casual games anymore. Kwalee was a hyper casual publisher back then. So, and it was not quite, but it was easier to understand whether game has a potential or not. But now, like with the hybrid casual and casual, like it is getting more complicated. Obviously, we still check CPI, retention, and early monetization metrics. And we also like our product team, like game design team, they also double check, like if it is a publishing deal, for example, like they also check and try to make sure whether like there is a potential of improvements, whether it is appealing to the wider audience, to the market. So like there are a lot of different layers, I guess, now, a lot of metrics and like layers that we check.
And do you have actually like standardized, okay, talking about creatives now, is there like standardized process of like, okay, we test this game and this is the process of we have that we need this kind of a creatives? Do you have like creative standardized process for testing?
Yes and no, maybe, because I mean we are not focused on single genre. I think every game needs like a something specific in general, but what we say as a first step or as a first test, we really would like to test gameplay, because that's the part that we need. We can understand the true potential of the game. Like if, for example, with the original gameplay, we have like high CPIs, that means if we move forward with the game, we will need to put a lot of creative efforts. We will need to come up with a lot of ideas. Like we will probably focus on not iterations, but always new concepts, which takes like additional time. We need, people who can do magic with Unity. Maybe we need to get help from the game developers directly. So it is an additional work, and like it's not always certain. Like even though I think we feel quite confident that like we can definitely bring the CPI down, it's a little bit risky, right? So with the original gameplay, you need to be able to achieve like a certain CPI. So I think that's what we are looking for.
Yes, so you are looking at so when you are starting testing the game, you are going gameplay based creatives to see the real numbers, how people are. Yeah, that makes sense actually. So if this CPI is high, you are like, this is a red flag for us, because of course you need to spend more money, time into the creative production later, create those fake ads, etc., to scale the game. So are there any more other red flags you see when you are,
Yeah, I mean, if like CPI with the original gameplay is definitely one of the red flags, and the other one is, I think I would say, retention curve. Like not even retention, I would say, because like you can achieve like maybe 35% day one retention, but then if you have like 5% or 2% day 7 retention, let's say, like it is an indication that okay, there is something wrong with the game. Of course, if it is not related with the content, because depends on the game like production cycle of the game, maybe you don't have enough content for 7 days. But if it is not the case, that if like we say, okay, there are enough contents and people should enjoy the game, but by day 7 we have 5% retention, then it is like a red flag as well.
So it's this balance of CPI and retention that is like ideal to have both of them good. But what is more important for you, having a low CPI or having high retention?
What is more important to me? It is, having a good ROAS eventually.
Okay.
I mean, that's the final, and eventually the profit, of course, because that's how it works.
That makes sense. You got me. Yeah. And so how many games have you actually acquired? Or maybe you're working on or different, okay, let's rephrase
Because
this. Like
Kwalee
how
is
many
also
games have you published?
Okay, because like Kwalee is a developer and publisher, so we have our internal team. So I think especially in our hyper casual days, our internal team was able to find more successful games than we had with publishing opportunities. Now I would say, we have definitely, for the last 1 year, we have 6 games maybe. But in overall, like we still have our back catalog. So we are working on maybe 40 games currently. But obviously they not always have the same priority, or like they are not every game is big. Sometimes we have also small titles that we still like do UA. But yeah, we have a lot of titles, to be honest.
That's a lot of titles. How big is your creative team?
That's what I wanted to ask.
Our creative team is definitely more than 25 people, I want to say. I'm not quite sure about the exact number, but yeah.
And how it's split it. So you have, how many guys are just creating ideas, or like you are doing ideas, you are doing only static images, you are doing only videos, or it is like...
So that's one of the parts that I want to discuss with you guys, actually. Since I joined Kwalee, I guess we have like tried different scenarios, different processes for our creative production, and we are still like trying to find the best solution. For example, when I first started, our creative team was quite independent, because like most of the hyper casual games, they were doing their own Facebook tests. They were doing their own ideation. Obviously, we were talking with them like about, okay, like maybe we should like focus on this kind of concepts. Maybe we should do like those kind of iterations. But still, like they were pretty independent. When we started to move to hybrid casual, though, like we realized that there is additional expertise that's needed. Like UA might want to do some different tests. Like maybe they don't want to do on the Facebook test, maybe they will do like unity testing, maybe they will like directly add the creatives to the like main campaigns. Like we don't know. So there is like some kind of evaluation that needs to be done. And also like EA also constantly checks the competitors, like they are aware of what is going on. So there needs to be like certain communication between each teams. And they can just like bring different point of view, right? Because like I think EA people usually like checks it's in a like a user perspective, because we are, but like creative team checks it's like more like a technical maybe level, like they know how the like how that creative should look like. So I think like they should talk more. So we started to have this like separate meetings that like monthly we were doing ideations, like we were talking about the results of the creative tests. But then, since we have like such a big portfolio and limited people, obviously, you like there's always like more people that you can use. We realized that okay, maybe we can divide this into the squads. Maybe we can pair creative people with UA people, basically. They can run their own portfolio together and they can constantly meet, maybe weekly meet, run the ideations and do the like quick testing. But yeah, again, we are still trying to find the perfect balance, because what is problematic is we have too many games, and like you just need to find the balance between whether you wanna test new stuff, which requires a lot of time and effort, whether you wanna test a lot of creatives, which is again like time. So we are just trying to find the balance now. So according to your experience, what is the best way? What do you think?
So the best thing from my experience or people we're talking to from the industry is putting people together from different teams. So not only creative team is creating ideas and doing everything about the creatives and just asking for data from the UA guys. Actually, the UA guys are also the part of the creation of the new ideas, or are the part of creating new ideas or iteration. So also game design can say something regarding new ideas. You can bring as many people as you want. There are not too many, because too many on the meeting would be disaster. But different people can have this different look at certain things. So creative guys are also trying to create the biggest new idea, new top performer, etc., and iterate in something. But maybe guys from game designs, they see something in data that okay, some people, or I see that in this graph or whatever, that some people are spending so much time here and enjoying this part. And also UA guy can say, yeah, I saw that this ad was performing better than this one, and I saw that it's because of this, of this, of this. If you separate those teams and you say, only you are doing ideas and other guys, you are testing stuff, you never find those new concepts, those new ideas. Because, what we were trying to do is to make people be active in their position, not just do your stuff, but care about the project at all. This is the key, that you bring those people together for different angles to how to look at the creative production. It needs to be combination of different people from different parts of the company that are doing something different with the game, and this brings the success.
And actually, to bring it on another layer, so now my opinion, I totally agree, and I was always pro different personas, different backgrounds, different professional, expertise, and bringing these people together, which is essentially what you are doing already, right? Like you're combining two teams, and they come up with the ideas. But now let's tailor this approach towards your needs. So you have a lot of games, right? You have pretty big teams. So how do you tackle this? Now, I'll give my recommendation based on how I worked and what I've seen in different agencies, that had similar issues. So what you do is like you definitely combine what you do now, like, at least the UA and creative teams. You put them into these pods, or you have like specific projects. Not to overwhelm them, you should have a priority list. Like, okay, which game should we now try to really put ideation and focus on? It doesn't necessarily need to be the biggest game, right? Because maybe there is some like mid game that needs to be scaled and it's having issues. So okay, let's focus on this one for next week, month, whatever. Bring a time and priority list. Like, how long should we focus on what? I'm not a fan of forced brainstorming. Ideally, you come up to the brainstorming session every week with some ideas. And the last thing is, and that's what I saw work really well in one of the companies that I consulted. It was non-gaming, but it worked really well. There was like a gifting, or more like a competition every month. They actually had the cash, and it doesn't necessarily need to be cash, but there is a reward for a concept that actually won the creative testing on a specific month. So if you have a concept XYZ, and it actually was the top performing in creative testing for in this specific period of time in a month, then this person or people who actually stand behind this concept, they got rewarded. They got rewarded with actual cash on the salary. Now, it doesn't need to be salary, in my opinion. It can be a cake, right? You just come up with something. So people actually feel engaged and they can be proud that they achieved something. It was my concept. And yes, they're here. It's my medal, my socks, my cake, my cash. I don't know.
You need to motivate, because for the companies that are not saying to game designer, now come to the brainstorming to create UA ideas, you're like, oh, it's not my job. I don't know. I have so much work to do. So yeah, but getting, I don't know, if you are in a team and you are getting some reward, some gamification of the process can spark interest, true interest in those people.
I mean, thankfully, to be honest, I think our product team, like in general, like they obviously they want this game works, right? So they want this game to be successful. So like in general, like sometimes even they are the ones, like, can we do more? Like, can we help you? Like, can we do something? Like, we can, like create some like videos if you need help. So, but obviously, yeah, I can understand. Yeah, motivation is definitely the key. And regarding the prioritization, yeah, we do that as well, because I mean, yeah, like it's impossible to manage 40 titles otherwise. We used to have like a certain structure, especially with the hyper casual games, that we were saying bi-weekly we will have this much like creators, or like for the low titles we will have like new concept once in a month or something like that. But then we realized that putting a certain number behind the creative doesn't really make sense if you have different UA strategies for different games. Like we were really unmotivated, basically demotivated at some time, that we do a lot of things and nothing works. It's just like we put those creatives to the networks and they don't even pass the learning, And creative team was like, what is the point of doing X amount of creatives? Like you are asking these creatives and it doesn't change anything. And we were like, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it seems like it doesn't change anything. And at some point we thought that, okay, is it because, we make shitty creatives? It might be the case, right? But then we also did like lots of tests, and some creatives, they are working well on some networks, but some networks, they are not working. And it's not necessarily, so it can't be only related with the creative concept itself, because I think we are aware of the fact that like different networks have different, obviously like user behavior, like different performance. But I think we used to expect that, yeah, I mean, whatever works on social might not work on SDK. Like we had this like social creatives and then like SDK network creatives. Then when we had TikTok, like with a like really different behavior, we had, okay, social, like Facebook, Google, plus TikTok. TikTok is really different. We need to make something different for TikTok. But for the SDK networks, we were still, I mean, it should work usually. And we were adding a lot of creatives, and like still a creative that we made 5 years ago when we were launching the game is getting the most of the like revenue. Like impressions basically. And it doesn't make sense. We did a lot of tests. We have, I don't know, hundreds of different Facebook test results with us. And we found control creatives. Like we have beaten that creative at least 10 times. But when we put them into the main campaigns, it doesn't work. So once we realize this, okay, like it's not only about like what kind of creative we do, like how many creatives we do, it is about like different channels behave differently. So we started to, like, when we do that prioritization, for example, right now, we check the channels that we run, like we check the like types of creatives that we run. If we are not running much social channels, we say to creative team, okay, we actually don't need 100 creatives, it's just like we just need to maybe iterate every now and then just to have some refreshments. Plus we need to test new concepts so that we can understand whether we can like change the destiny of the game actually, because like we had these cases that we added one creative, like game started scaling immediately, which is the obvious goal for us, right? So like we started to add additional layer to the prioritization of the game. It's not only about how much money it spends, or it's not only about which production cycle it has. It is also like how big is in each network and what kind of strategy we need to put for each network.
That makes absolutely sense. And I guess like these SDK networks are more about the gameplay-ish creatives compared to
Yeah, I was also feeling like this, but some networks, UGC works, for example, which I was like, no, UGC is for socials, like it's probably not gonna work on SDK, but it works.
Well,
So the
it's a good
golden
stuff,
rule, you need to test everything everywhere.
Everything in everyone. Yes, exactly.
And then you see what's working and just...
This is a nightmare recommendation for everybody with small budget listening, like small
Yes,
studio having
yes.
one game, and it's like, oh my God, like, so I need to test everything everywhere. But it's like, what else can you do,
The
right?
rule now, really, because we used to stick to Facebook testing, and I think it was the golden rule, and everyone was doing that. But we had so many cases that we find a creative, like it is winner according to Facebook creative test results, and we put it to the networks. It does nothing, and even though it is definitely related with the network algorithms, still there is a thing that, like, sometimes, for example, there was one creative that didn't work on Facebook. We put it to the SDK networks. It scaled like crazy. So like you can, obviously there are certain metrics that you can check, but if really metrics are too close, you just need to put it to the SDKs and test. And now we have this Unity creative testing tool, which is slightly more accurate, I want to say, for the SDK, performance, but it's still not. I mean, Unity and Iron Source, they are like the one company now, as you know. So like usually if like it works on Unity creative testing, like you can rely on, okay, it's gonna work on Unity itself plus Iron Source. But then Mintegral, Applevin, they are still like, they have this different algorithm that it doesn't necessarily mean that it is gonna work. So you just need to try everything, basically.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you almost like have to blindly shoot at the concepts and hope that something sticks. Like, I guess the ideal approach there is make a bundle of different types and concepts and just like try it on every single channel, because you never know. And it's the same thing, like you said, like I would never expect UGC to work well on SDKs, but and I would still, up until this talk, I would still like not recommend, like don't worry about UGC on SDK, like test it on TikTok and Facebook, and like don't worry about it. Like after this talk, like I'm gonna talk differently. So like, yeah,
really, it works.
it's crazy world. Like it's getting complicated. Like
It
every month, it's getting more complicated with creative testing.
Yeah,
maybe
definitely.
for those small studios that are developing games that are trying to, because they are not thinking about marketing at the time. They are, oh, I have this amazing concept. Just maybe look for the games that are already successful. Try to look for the creatives that are run and see if they are running gameplay, if they are not running gameplay, and you see what audience is actually reacting to. So you can maybe estimate that, okay, I will need to do a lot of fake creatives and it will be costly. And then maybe you will think, okay, so we can make the game looks little different colors and then run it, because there are some games that just run gameplay and it's working for them, or it's slightly modified, or it has like UGC voiceover only over them, wrote by ChatGPT. The voice is literally AI, and it's working for them because the game is interesting by how it looks. And people, when they are scrolling, and if just gameplay stops them scrolling, you got the attention, and if you have good game, you have profit.
There is, I think, like one more thing, which obviously we also had like a lot of discussions, that let's say we have a game that we are just gonna launch, and we have direct competitors, and our direct competitor was there for the last 1 year or maybe even more. Obviously, they started to test a lot of complicated concepts because it's time now for them. They can do altered gameplay, they can do fake gameplays, they can go crazy because they are trying to scale now. But we are just testing, or we are just starting. So should we really put that effort from the beginning, or when we should put that, like what is the perfect timing for starting? Okay, we will also do some crazy stuff now for the game. What do you think?
I think go from the beginning, like go with the crazy stuff immediately. Like don't.
I think so.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
If you
like
have budget, right? If you can,
you don't need that much
budget.
Like you don't need that much budget with the crazy stuff. But yeah,
Depends what's crazy. Fake creatives
yeah.
can be crazy, but they're costly as hell. Because it's
that's true. And essentially, like even you as a publisher, like Aysen, you mentioned that you test gameplay because that's essentially the most relevant thing, right? Like you want to see how the audience reacts to your actual game. Like in ideal world, and we actually talked about it in the last episode with the fake ads. In my ideal world, there'll be no fake ads. You just show gameplay, that's it. Gameplay with logo, and that's it. Like people, that should be the whole marketing almost, like in utopia. That there are no fake ads, there are no crazy hooks, no bullshit. Just like show me the game. I want to see what I'm gonna play. Don't show me something that is not in a game at all.
But users don't want that. Users want
I know
fake ads, like altered gameplay.
But we live in a world where audience is okay with being shown totally different stuff, crazy gameplays that are not in a game at all. So that's why I'm saying you you have a game, just go. And if you have some crazy idea in your head that I wish that this was in a game, if it's not gonna cost thousands to produce it, like go and show it. Like show it that just almost like fake it till you make it, I guess.
No, I think to be honest, like some companies really found the perfect scenario. Like, do you know the reason that I downloaded Township and I'm still playing? Because I saw this playable and I was like, oh my God, like this is definitely not in the game. Like they are just, showing the fake ads. But I just want to see how different it is. And I downloaded the game. And I think like, I don't know, a couple of minutes like later, they introduced this mini game that was exactly like the playable that I like downloaded from. And I played it, and it's been more than 2 weeks. I don't see that mini game again at all. It's just, for the very first session, they use this mini game. And I think it's really the perfect balance of marketing and products, and we should probably see it more.
Yeah, I mean, marketers have a lot of insights, right? That should be transferred towards the product. Again, ideally you have creative product and marketing team talking with each other. But in today's complicated marketing world where there is a lot of fakeness and a lot of data and, just like a lot of competition, it's a matured market. There is a lot of stuff that some marketers don't even know how valuable it is that they have these insights about which creative works, which doesn't work, what kind of a KPIs, like, because we are so consumed in all the daily stuff of testing, and stuff. There is new KPIs popping up every month, like hook KPIs, whatever, like CTA button KPIs, I don't know what else. But there is so much stuff that could be shared with the other departments, and it's not. I have this feeling that the performance marketers sometimes should step back, just breathe heavily and lightly, actually, and just think about how much do I know, and maybe it would be valuable to share this with other department, with other not so technical department in analytics and UA. And because then it can change the whole trajectory of the development of creatives or of game itself.
I can give an example. We had this one, like it's still under production, but it is like an action shooter game, like a multiplayer game. And our creative team created a hook. It's like a 7-second cinematic that shows like hostage situation. It's not in the game. It's just a hook that we put. And then actual gameplay follows up. And then we tested this and we got amazing results. Basically, it was the most best performing ad. And then we talked with the development team and showed the results, and they were like, "Okay, this is actually a good idea. We can add this to the game." And they started to work on adding like this hostage like situation to the game in somewhere. So definitely, like I agree.
Yeah.
In a fake ads, you can allow yourself to explore the world around your game. So you see some game from the world is frozen and the guy is just lying on the beach and suddenly everything froze and he's trying to find a shelter. It's not in a game, but this is exactly what people would experience in real life if it happened, but really quickly. And it gives them this emotion. Okay, so this is about survival. They are selling the idea of the game in first 2 seconds in a very interesting way, ideally, like ideation wise, and also how it looks. It looks great. So this is the thing, also the thing about hostages. It's an action shooter, but in this world of the game, it's not in gameplay, but in the world of the game, there are probably some hostages. And it's interesting for people to watch, to think about, and it's a great hook for them to go into the game. So exploring the world of the game, use it in the marketing, see how people react, and add it to the game is like the perfect way of how you can scale the product based on the marketing. Like
for me, what is even more important than having this know-how that yes, these hostages work is the best business case that you have there is this flexibility. That the product team was willing and they actually adapted and they actually implemented it. Because this is the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
Again, you can come from your position and say, oh, this works. And they can be like, nice, do more of that. Right. And that would be the end of it. Getting closer to to the end of the podcast. It's been an amazing discussion. We actually prolonged a couple of topics because they were interesting enough to like getting deeper and deeper into. Aysen, thank you very much for sharing a lot of stuff that how you do and what you do. It's super interesting.
Yep.
I think in generally, like you're doing a great job. You know, I'll say it how it is. You know your shit, Aysen. You know what you're doing. And yeah, Kwalee most definitely knows what they're doing. And it's great they have you there. I wish you a lot of good hooks and good performing creatives, and yeah, and hopefully successful creative process and ideation that you continue evolving on it and that it's actually gonna work well.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed a lot. It was lovely to speak with you.
Great talk. And yeah, everybody, see you in the next episode. We love you all. Subscribe, follow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.